What's up, nation? Today let's talk about Zelda Skyward Sword and how well it's already selling on Amazon pre-orders and the newest Nintendo Switch Pro rumors. Alright everyone, so I got a couple different stories I want to share with you all today. The first of which is around Zelda Skyward Sword and how well it is already selling on Amazon, as it is now the #1 best-selling Switch title now that the availability for the pre-order is online and you can go in and pre-order this game. So I want to talk through what that means for the rest of the Zelda 35th Anniversary Collection titles that we're expecting, because there is a ton of talk online about Zelda Skyward Sword and the $60 price tag. And then the other thing we're going to talk about is the newest Nintendo reports that from a credible leaker that is again stating that we will see a 4K Switch with some other details and features in there. So I want to talk about that and when I personally think we will most likely see this system announced or released. And then guys, before we do hop into all those details, I just want to quickly invite you all to join Sunbro Nation if you haven't done so already. Do so by subscribing below, hit the like button on this video if you enjoy the content today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming and console news as we're in the new generation of gaming. But with that guys, let's dive into the details. So I made a video a couple days ago discussing my personal predictions on what I think we're going to see from Nintendo and their pricing strategy when it comes to Zelda's 35th Anniversary Collection. As we now have one official game announced, and that is Skyward Sword HD, we are expecting to see others come along, and now that Skyward Sword HD is out there by itself at $60 for the title, this raises the question if Nintendo will do this with any port that comes through from the Legend of Zelda franchise, as they are not obviously using the same strategy that they did with Mario when it comes to doing like a triple pack collection like a lot of fans were hoping to see announced. Now my point on this was that there is obviously Nintendo fans that have actually purchased this game in the past on the Wii and have played through, but there is a number of different fans that are brand new and that they're actually have never paid the $60 or even $50 like what it was before on the Wii for this title, and Nintendo knows that and they know the value of their series. So I think we continue to see them price these games at $60 for the most part. There may be certain collection packs, but whenever it comes to these mainline AAA 3D Zelda games, I think we see all of them priced at $60 a piece, and that is simply because Nintendo knows that they have exponentially grown the Zelda fan base over the last few years, specifically on the Nintendo Switch platform, as Breath of the Wild actually sold over 21 million copies on the life cycle of the Switch alone, and that is obviously the best-selling Zelda game of all time. So all of that being said, I want to read through an article with you guys that actually details that Skyward Sword at $60, as divisive as it is against the hardcore fans, is already the #1 best-selling Switch title on Amazon as of right now that the pre-orders are live for this title. So let's read through this article together. The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword is currently the top-selling game on Amazon's Nintendo Switch charts. While this isn't exactly surprising given that it's enhanced re-release of an entry in the beloved Zelda series, many fans did complain about the game's $60 price tag after its reveal at the February Nintendo Direct. Fellow re-release Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury is second on the charts, followed by Animal Crossing New Horizons. As a company, Nintendo is well known for keeping its games at full price years after they come out. For example, 2017 Zelda Breath of the Wild still sells for $60 new at Amazon, though the price is currently discounted to $50. That said, that doesn't mean that fans are happy about paying $60 for an HD re-release of a 10-year-old game. Though it received favorable reviews on its original Wii release, Skyward Sword generally has a reputation as one of the lesser entries in the series. Some fans were hoping to see other Zelda games ported to the Switch, such as the Wii U re-release of Wind Waker, or the early Wii entry Twilight Princess, or perhaps all three in a bundle. This wasn't a particularly outlandish expectation given that Nintendo did just release something similar with Super Mario 3D All-Stars, which also packed together three 3D Mario games. That said, Super Mario 3D All-Stars is only available until March 31st, so if you're looking to snag it, you better get a move on. The Skyward Sword port comes to the Switch on July 16th. This year marks the 35th anniversary of the series since the original Legend of Zelda released in 1986, and it's possible that there's more announcements to come from Nintendo. So I think this just further backs up the theory that we continue to see Nintendo price Zelda games specifically at $60. While Mario games are nice to include 3-in-1 as a bundle, and I would much rather them bundle together these Zelda games, they do know that these are full 60 to 80 hour experiences a piece if you actually try to go 100% them, and I think that it's hard to argue that Mario is as long or as much gameplay as that. So I think the way that Nintendo is pricing these going forward will be $60 standalone titles. I mean, as an example, Link's Awakening, which is literally a Game Boy port but redone with newer visuals, sells today at $60 as a standalone title. Now, will we see some kind of a mashup collection for Zelda's 35th anniversary? Hopefully, but I think the only two games that we may see bundled together is like an Ocarina of Time and a Majora's Mask. If they don't do those two together on the same cartridge, I would be surprised. Almost about any other game, I think they will make the argument that these are full 60-hour plus experiences and they will sell them at $60 a piece. The other thing that backs us up is just the simple sales numbers because, again, Zelda Breath of the Wild selling 21 million copies on the Switch created an entire new generation of Zelda fans, and then you still have the hardcore fans like myself that will happily buy these titles again at full price, and Nintendo obviously knows this. They're already seeing success with Skyward Sword selling at 60, so I don't think that, just to level expectations out there, I think that if you're counting on a 2 or 3 pack game from Nintendo right around the corner, I think that is the less likely option that we will see them do this Zelda 35th anniversary. That said, I do hope that we get some official Zelda news soon and we see a Zelda Direct around the corner, but for the time being, set those expectations to have multiple games released throughout the year, kind of broken up at that $60 price, as opposed to having a Mario-style collection pack. That is just my personal prediction. I hope I'm wrong, and I could totally be wrong, but with how Nintendo's value Zelda rather as a franchise, I think we will absolutely see these games released throughout the year at the full $60 price tag. I would love to know your guys' thoughts on if you're willing to pay that for these individual releases or if you just feel like this is Nintendo being greedy, so please leave that down in the comments below. And then the next thing we're talking about today is the new Nintendo Switch Pro rumors, as we now have a notable industry insider by the name of Nate Drake, who has actually said that Nintendo is for sure working on a 4K revision of the Switch, and I want to read through the details of what we might expect from this, and then I also have a personal theory on when we will see Nintendo release this console revision, because I think that they do it with their big blockbuster title like a Breath of the Wild 2. So I want to speculate on exactly what time we can see this release, but first let's read through the details of the article. Reliable insider Nate Drake recently talked about the next Nintendo Switch hardware revision on the Reset Era forums, revealing that the console is going to support NVIDIA DLSS technology as well as 4K functionality, which was already suggested by data mined information. Nate Drake also revealed that the next Nintendo Switch revision will also feature an improved handheld mode, most likely a higher resolution display. He's quoted here, "Won't really talk more about the tech specs than I have. It has DLSS and 4K functionality. No reason to go deeper than that right now. That's enough to illustrate the device is a meaningful upgrade. First-party support with the span of the new hardware and current Switch for at least a couple of years." As for the release date of the new Nintendo Switch revision, Nate Drake is confident that the console will be announced this year. The console is apparently still scheduled for a 2021 release, but if it will be delayed to 2022, it will be communicated within the next few months. Let's say I'm confident it gets announced this year. A delay to 2022 would need to be communicated in the next few months as dev kits and third-party partners begin to plan software for this device. As of this very moment, February 18th, 2021, I believe the hope remains for a 2021 launch. So I think most Nintendo Switch fans at this point have accepted that a Switch Pro is absolutely in the works, and it is just a matter of when will we get this announced. I originally thought we may see it a little bit sooner into 2021, but as of how the lineup is going for Nintendo Switch games right now in 2021, I think it makes more sense to release it alongside a giant blockbuster title, especially like a Breath of the Wild 2. So if we see Breath of the Wild 2 in 2021, I think it makes a ton of sense for Nintendo to target that holiday window, probably early to mid-November, and they release a Switch Pro revision bundled in with Breath of the Wild 2, or maybe even they go above and beyond and do a Zelda edition theme for this console, because they know what they have with the Zelda Breath of the Wild game, and I think that it makes sense for them to do something very special to celebrate that and give fans a reason to upgrade their existing Switch. If you're already playing in a 1080p console like most of us are today, you're going to want to have that big blockbuster title like a new Zelda game in 4K with the DLSS technology. I think that makes total sense from a marketing standpoint, and that's most likely what I would predict Nintendo to do if we do see the Switch Pro announced at some point soon. The question is when do they announce it versus when it comes out? And I think that is going to be very short notice. I think they do it probably 6 to 8 weeks before it is actually going to be, in production and being ready to ship out to customers, because they don't want to hinder the sales of their existing console, which continues to sell very well to this day across both the Switch Lite and just the standard Switch. So I think Nintendo is putting a, hopefully they come out with just like a new Nintendo Switch and it's not like a higher price point, but I do think if they're including 4K, we could see this upwards of the $399 price point, especially if we're getting a higher resolution portable mode as well. But we don't know if they're just going to try to phase out the standard model of the Switch and switch to the Switch Pro, or if they are going to create a new pricing tier like at the $399 and then keep the family of all the Switches alive at the same time. I think I'm most likely predicting them to do that, but it is very well just could be like a new Nintendo Switch type scenario where they kind of phased out the original 3DS with the new 3DS, because Nintendo does like to do things like that. So that's totally a possible route as well. But I do think that, as is pointed out in this article, dev kits will start to go out at some point, at which point we will see way more concrete information about this new Nintendo Switch Pro, and we will probably get a clearer timeline here in the near future on when we can expect this thing to hit retail shelves. Thanks so much for watching the video today, everyone. I do truly appreciate you all sticking around until the end. I do at this point in the video want to invite you all to leave me a comment on both topics of what we talked about. What are your personal predictions on what we will see from Nintendo in terms of the Zelda 35th Anniversary Collection and the pricing of each of those games? And then will you be picking them up if they do come out at $60 a piece like I am personally predicting them to do? And then the other thing I would love to know is what your predictions are around the Nintendo Switch Pro, and if you think it is really in the works, or if this is just all smoke and fluff and it's not a real thing that's going on right now. And then also let me know, if you have a Nintendo Switch today, would you be willing to pay more, like a $399, and pick up a Switch Pro in order to play these games in 4K? And then guys, before I do end the video, I just want to quickly invite you all one more time to join Sunbro Nation if you haven't done so already. Do so by subscribing below, hit the like button on your way out on this video if you enjoyed the content today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming and console news as we're in the new generation of gaming. That's going to do it for me, guys. I hope you all have a great day. Sunbro Nation, out.